So, in as much as we don't have a quorum present, we cannot vote on the approval of last month's minutes. So we're going to have to table that until we have quorum present. Or if Michelle comes, we can do it at that point. Otherwise, we'll have to table it for our September meeting. Correct? Okay. Also, we are not able to vote on anything until we do have a quorum. So we're kind of stagnated, but we will move forward with our meeting. And I would like to start by welcoming to our CEC, our new student member, Catherine Pappas. Welcome. Catherine, would you like to tell the council members and the public where you come from and a little bit about you?
Sure.
If you don't mind. I don't want to put you on the spot.
I'm Catherine Pappas. I'm a rising senior. I go to World Journalism Preparatory School. I am the president of my student body at my school. And over the past year, we've been doing a lot of volunteer work, which is really difficult because everything is virtual. So we had a lot of online fundraisers, and we did things. We found ways to kind of like bring people closer together, even though we were so far apart. So for Thanksgiving, we did a virtual Thanksgiving telethon, and everyone kind of filmed themselves making a part of a Thanksgiving meal. And we put it together, and as people were watching, people donated to the charity No Kid Hungry. And we were able to raise a good amount of money for No Kid Hungry, around $3,000, a little over. So we did a bunch of things like that throughout the year, a lot of charity work, a lot of bringing people together, making the school year as fun as possible. And I'm really excited to be here. I've heard about the CEC since I was a freshman, and I've been waiting for my turn to interview, and now I'm here, so I'm so excited. Thank you.
We are very excited to have you. Serving on the CEC as a student representative really gives us the take on from the students' perspective. So, although you may not have voting rights, we will definitely appreciate your input as to things going on behalf of the students. So we welcome you, and we look forward to working with you, and thank you for joining us. Perfect. So I want to thank the fellow council members for your vote in last month, and I want to welcome the board that was elected last month, and I look forward to working with all of you. I know we have a lot on our agenda. We have some goals to set, which I believe we should work on, but we will talk about that during our business meeting. I don't have much to report to you as of today because the school year has not started, and there are a lot of changes and things happening with the DOE, which I'm going to allow our superintendent to give her report, and we look forward to working towards the opening of the school year in November. And at that point, I will now give this to Superintendent Domingo.
Thank you. So I want to just pass these down to this side of the table.
Is it all the same thing? Or there's more?
Yeah, it's one
okay.
And I want to. Yes, I gave it to them. I want to thank the CEC members that sat on the interview panel with me to select Catherine. I want to welcome you, Catherine, here. And as I said to you at our interview, when I was your age, I sat on the CEC too. So, and look where I am today. So I do find it to be a very important position, and I want to welcome you here and to let you know that part of our district beliefs, as well as the CEC, is, as Joe Benedetto reiterated, like we really do value and support student voice, and you had a lot of really wonderful things to say in terms of advocating for the community, which you had just mentioned now, but also for students. So we look forward to hearing your perspective on the things that we discussed throughout the year. So welcome. Thank you. I also echo Mr. Di Benedetto in welcoming our new board. And congratulations to all of you, and I'm looking forward to hearing the goals and the work that you are taking on this year and working alongside you. So congratulations to all of you. So We are planning as a city for homecoming on September 13th. As of today, and we know, one of the things that I know that have happened between the past year and a half is that as a leader, being flexible and understanding and recognizing there's a lot of things that are beyond my control is something that we welcome. But I will also say that Dr. D'Antona and I are in continuous and in constant touch with our principals, who are working really hard in planning for September and welcoming back all of our students on September 13th. As of right now, that is what we're planning for. I know that parents have a lot of questions, but we don't have anything different and nothing really has changed. So homecoming is something that we are looking forward to. I will say to you, I am really happy to see what's happening at Summer Rising. We've had so many children in Summer Rising. Over 4,000 children have attended our programs.
In this district?
In this district.
Wow.
And they really are so happy. Some of them hadn't been back to school in a year, and they're so excited to see their friends. We are working with our community-based organizations. Students are engaging in art and theater and dance and seeing one another, albeit with masks on. We're doing great. In the morning is academics. We're looking towards closing those learning gaps, and in the afternoon, students are really spending time having fun in a camp-like setting. So I'm really proud of the work that our principals and our teachers have done in preparing for that. I want to let you know that the kids are all right. You know, we say that they're okay, they're resilient, and they are very happy to be in school. They're careful, they're cautious. We have all of the safety protocols in place. We have all of the PPE in place. They know how to use them. You know, unlike when we were talking about in this building, where we said people who are seated have an option to keep their masks on. When you're walking around, you should have your mask on. In schools, we have to keep our masks on all day. And so we're doing it. We're doing it well. So, yep.
Any cases?
We have had cases. Hi.
Hi, welcome.
I'm sorry.
No worries. We've had some cases, but we're working through them the same way we did throughout the year. We're doing classroom closures, not so many. I think we've learned a lot in the past about reporting these cases, getting the classrooms closed, and even during that time, although Summer Rising is a voluntary program, our schools are sending work home. Our teachers are working asynchronously with students who are home for Summer Rising because of cases. I don't know where we'll be with testing for September. We're still waiting to hear for that, but we are testing every week in Summer Rising, and that's where we're seeing some of our cases. So I will say we've had less than 10 across all of our 16 sites. So it's not right. And some have had none, you know. So we're in a good place in the district in terms of what we know and how we're protecting against the virus. Okay, so that being said, I know that many of you may or may not have received our family letter from Chancellor Porter. She is talking about what homecoming would be like and what the city is focusing on in terms of supporting our students in September. So there's two things that I think are really important. The first is the academic recovery plan that I'm going to go through, and that is the letter that starts with Dear Families. And the second is instructional principles. So I just wanted to review these both with you and answer any questions and let you know that Dr. D'Antona and I are currently working towards making this meaningful to see what this will look like in District 25, and in September we will be presenting this to the CEC, to the DLT, to President's Council, just where we are going with the Chancellor's priorities. Okay, so in terms of the academic recovery plan, there are seven key points that the Chancellor has gone over with all districts. The first is around children feeling welcome and help to heal from the past year. From what I had just talked about, we've done a lot of work with healing our students around Summer Rising, and we're going to continue those practices working with our guidance counselors and our social workers and mental health support staff, and working with our community-based partners, which is what we have done through Summer Rising as well, to expand social, emotional, academic, and extracurricular supports. Your child's literacy skills will be a priority. District 25 has been focused on literacy for many years, both in the work that we have done with literacy support systems in support of our ELs, but also our K-2 literacy work that has gone through both our My Brother's Keeper work as well as our ULIT coaches in all of our schools in K-2. And we're very happy to hear that the Chancellor is continuing with literacy coaches next year in our schools. Your child will grow in their technological skills. So one of the things that we did this year, and it was Herculean, but I will tell you that all of our students, it did take a little while, but they had the computers and the technology that they need. And one of the things that we spoke with our principals about just recently over the past 2 weeks is things that they worked through during the pandemic that they want to hold on to. And that is, we really have, and we really wanted to make sure that teachers had the proper training to embed technology into 21st century learning in the classroom. We've struggled for many years as a system, I believe even as a country, in that happening. I will say that our teachers have done a tremendous job. We have a long way to go, but in a lot of the schools that I'm visiting, even during the summer, teachers have become more savvy in the use of technology and instruction. So we're going to continue to work with that at the district level. More special education support will be available for students with disabilities. As you will see, it's something that Dr. D'Antona and I are working through with at the district level. We discussed it at the DLT meeting during our last DLT meeting. We also talked about it as a district with our principals. Special education is a goal that you're going to see in District 25, just in terms of how we're going to address the writing and implementation of quality IEPs. So you'll hear us talk more about that. I'm really happy to know that that has been aligned with something that the CEC is focusing on as well. So I'm looking forward to partnering with you around that work. Also, more language support will be available to our multilingual learners because we are the second district that has the highest amount of multilingual learners. This is something that I'm really confident in. And actually, when we were looking at our data, there are a lot of areas that we need to focus on, but the group of learners that came closest to meeting our targets this year were our multilingual learners. So we've been really focused on training our K-8 teachers in addressing the needs of our multilingual learners, and I will spend some time talking about that with you guys in September as well. But you will not see this subgroup as a priority. You will hear us say we're going to continue the work that we started and making sure that all of our teachers are trained across the district in this area. Your child getting ready for college and career, this is the work that we do in partnering with our high schools, and we will talk more about that, and you'll also see that present in our DCEP. And you will see that there is a K-12 alignment in our expectations and the work that we do together with Superintendent Lindsay and the DLT. And your child will learn challenging materials that reflect who they are. So children are more engaged in class when they see themselves in their lessons and materials. We are committed to reflecting the city's beautiful mosaic of cultures and histories in curriculum. So I just will say, before I'm going to talk about what the city is doing, District 25 has started last year in our work with Dr. Maria Acquinelli, and the work that she is doing with us is not about necessarily the curriculum, but teaching teachers around the value of knowing your whole child, knowing their culture, their community, their family, and how a teacher plans to meet those needs and address those needs within their everyday classroom experiences. So we've been doing that. In the fall, your child's school will receive an infusion of books that reflect a variety of histories, languages, and experiences that make up the cultures within the city. And that puts us in District 25 in a good place, because these will just be resources that our teachers will be receiving from the training that they've had in terms of planning to represent a culturally responsive education. The DOE will begin to work on universal, rigorous, and inclusive ELA and math curricula that will be shared by the city's 1,600 schools. It will be built on investments in literacy and will challenge students to move beyond academic comfort zones. And the DOE will begin developing brand new support materials for ELA, math, the arts, and more, developed by New York City educators for New York City students. So, as we said, currently we are working as a district to organize the Chancellor's priorities and align the work that we're doing in District 25 to those priorities. So we'll be able to be a little bit more specific around what that will look like come September, in September, when we meet together as a team. Additionally, for homecoming, this is something that we've just begun talking about with our principals in terms of rolling this out as part of homecoming. But the CRSE document, which is a state document, the Culturally Responsive Education document, has been something that we've been unpacking together as a district for the past 2 years. So this is something that you could look through in terms of the first 4 pages address what I had just talked about in terms of the academic priorities. But the instructional principles for schools, if you look up the CRSE, you will see high expectations and rigorous instruction and what that looks like. You will see creating welcoming and affirming school environments, inclusive curricula and assessments, and ongoing and targeted professional learning communities across our schools. The city has come out with an implementation plan and timeline, which we are addressing as we're going along. We just spent this summer training our principals to make sure that over the past few years, our schools have prioritized individual priorities, but now we're asking them to find what their work looks like across all priorities. So that is where we're starting, but you will see principals, teachers, as well as SLTs having a clear understanding of this. Our principals will continue to have parent chats to get parent feedback on the decisions that are happening at schools, school-wide goals, and action plans. But you will also see town halls continue as well, where principals will talk about this work. But right now, we are using these principles as part of our planning, so it will be clearer to everyone come September when they're fully rolled out. Okay. Any questions? Okay, that's all for me.
Thank you, Superintendent. Just want to backtrack. I want to welcome Michelle Frederick. So Michelle's here, and we do have a quorum. So before we go back to the minutes and approve the minutes, I also want to welcome the public that's here this evening, and in particular, Morris Altman, my predecessor, who's a well-known past president who served many terms on CEC, and we thank you for joining us this evening. We also thank the members of the public that are here through our hybrid meeting. Correct, Carly? How many people do we have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay. We have 6 members of the public who joined us in the hybrid location. If anyone would like to speak, I would ask that you put your name on the speaking list. Those members that are here and those that are on remotely, if you could put your name in the chat, and during the public speaking portion, we'll allow you to comment. Okay, so I just want to go back to our minutes from last month. Since we do have a quorum present, we can vote on the approval. So why don't we go back and look at the minutes of the annual meeting and the minutes of the calendar meeting. Then I'll entertain any motions to approve. Ms. Shah, you're making the motion to approve the minutes?
Yes, sir.
And Joseph Chow seconded the motion. That's for the annual meeting minutes and as well as the calendar meeting.
I make a motion to approve the calendar.
Okay, so when you make the motion to approve the minutes of the calendar meeting,
I second.
and Michelle and Anne Marie seconded that. Okay, so the minutes are hereby approved. A couple of things I want to talk to the members because there are some CEC members that are not present this evening, and our bylaws are pretty specific on absences. Holly, I don't have you have the bylaws with you? Can you read me that portion? You don't have it? You didn't bring it? I just wanted to read that portion that dealt with absences.
I do
Because
know
there
the
are
man-
3
I do have the
unexcused absences.
Um,
Juliana, do you have the?
I have the what's on the manual, but she has the bylaws on.
Do you mind, Juliana, reading us the bylaws? Take your time. Do you mind if I read it? Thank you. Okay, so our bylaws provide that. How do I know. I cannot.
Where is it?
Scrolling down. Absences. Okay. So section 6 of section 3, duties of officers. I'm sorry. Section 6 provides for absences. It is the responsibility of each council member to attend all meetings of the council. It is incumbent upon all council members, except in cases of emergency, to notify the president or the secretary to the council at least 6 hours prior to the scheduled meeting time of their intent to be absent. Therefore, there shall be no proxy or absentee voting. Any member of the council who fails to attend 3 meetings of the council of which he or she is duly notified without rendering in writing a good and valid excuse, therefore to the president, vacates his or her office by refusal to serve under Education Law Section 2590-C. Each written excuse and absence noted as excused or unexcused shall be included with the official written minutes of such meeting. According to Chancellor Regulation D-140, D-150, and D-160, the following constitute valid excuses for absence: death of a relative or attendance at a relative's funeral, serious illness or injury of a member or family member, mandatory court attendance including jury duty, military duty, and job-related conflict, which makes absence from a council meeting unavoidable. So thank you, Juliana. So the reason why I bring this up is because we do have some council members that have not attended. This is the 2nd month. So I just want those council members that attend, something we should talk about. If it becomes that we are 3 or more absences, I think we really need to discuss how we have to move forward. And the only problem that I foresee is we may have a situation where we don't have a quorum, and then we're not going to be able to conduct our business. So just, having read that, you can ask Carly for the bylaws. Let's just, keep it in our heads of what's happening and see what happens next month. I know Carly reached out to 1 or 2 of our members, and she hasn't gotten any response about their attending our CEC meetings. So I don't know if that's something that we would want to take on after 3 absences. Does anyone here have any comment, questions? Yes, Joseph.
Can they be replaced by the next person?
So what generally happens is if an officer is removed or refuses to serve, then in the past we've done this, right, Morris, where we put a notice out to the community, and then we get applicants, and at that point the council members can vote on who the substitute members are. So definitely. Good question.
I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you. Yes.
Should we wait until next month to decide? Or can we start planning to, let the community know?
So because it's only our second meeting and we don't have 3 unexcused absences as of yet, I think Carly should send out notices to those members that don't attend that the council is concerned, with permission of the council, right? The council is concerned about their attendance, and having 3 unexcused absences, just reminding them will be cause or grounds to ask for their removal. This way, we don't lose any time. Perfect. Are you okay with, is everyone okay with that?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Emma.
So we have one council member that's been attending virtually, but hasn't actually been here physically, which removes himself as a board member. How would that be handled?
So these are very uncharted waters, and I'm glad that our FACE representative is here. But I know that the public meeting law requires that if we have in-person meetings, that they vote in person, correct? Under the public meeting law, that if that person is not in attendance, that person doesn't have rights to make a motion nor to vote, right?
Yes, I will say that FACE is working, looking at the open meetings law to see if any virtual voting is permitted under certain circumstances. But it's not in writing yet. It hasn't been reviewed by legal yet. So as of right now, we need to proceed with in-person voting.
Also, if the law has to change, it's not our function to do it, it's up to the legislature. So we can also reach out to our elected officials, and if we find that we want to move forward with remote meetings and having those members have the right to vote, I don't know what the council feels on that. We can ask for a resolution, or we can ask support of our state senator or elected officials in terms of changing the law, right? What is everybody's opinion here? Does anybody have an opinion or comment on that?
Rashmi sent an email prior to the meeting today, and she did put the open meeting law and the link for us to submit a letter to the state legislature to push forward the virtual meeting and voting.
So I did not see Rashmi's email. I was not notified that Rashmi wasn't coming as of 4:30 this afternoon, so I'm not aware of that. But she's not here, so she's not able to make a motion on that unless someone else present wants to make a motion as to that idea, and we would have to discuss it and vote on it.
I feel that if we're sending our children back to school in September, and the city is open as much as it can be open, it feels contradictory, and for us to say we're going to go remote and send our kids to school, we're here for the kids, we're here for our community. So if we're going to sit home and meet virtually, but send our kids out to school, I feel like we're contradicting our purpose.
Understood. Does anyone else have any opinion on that? Joseph?
My concern is, okay, so I was at a meeting yesterday, and somebody posted stats. Less than 1% of the summer school students were testing positive. I think maybe 0.1%. So it's very safe. But my concern is suppose they open school, and then we have an issue, and school may be closed. Or they may do, half remote, half in person. So, like I said before, I'm new, I don't rock the boat. However, I do share many of the concerns other people have. I mean, I'm fortunate because things go badly, I can keep my children at home. This is how he wears his mask. Literally. Alright? The older one is better. So, I hear what you're saying. We don't want to be hypocrites.
Right.
We're here to represent the district. I was going to make a motion, but I think I'm going to table it because I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to table it. That hurt,
I think it's too soon.
I think it might be too soon. I mean, we don't even know what the protocol is
Right,
with
right.
students, right?
Right.
As of today, students are all going back to 100%. I kind of agree with Anne Marie. If the
Yeah,
students
I
are going back
share
100%, what message are we giving to our students that we don't want to come in 100%,
And
right?
Danielle had very good statistics for summer summarizing. I mean, the kids are all doing academics, doing sports, doing activities together. You know, I have, it's a different district, but I have a friend in District 75 that's been 100% in since last year. And the school's closed, I think, twice. I mean, it really has been, you know, in the school, I don't think it's been as big a problem as maybe citywide as far as other things. But I think we're jumping the gun to say we need to back off.
Michelle, do you have any opinion? I don't want to put you on the spot.
No.
I'm going to go Shirley next.
At least he gave you warning. No, I agree. I agree with Emery. I actually put it in an email beforehand that I not really 100% agree with the going back to virtual if our kids are going in person. It didn't really make sense to me. I think that if we, in the long run, I guess if the kids, if they feel like the kids have to go hybrid or back remote, then I guess then they'll make a decision for us. But for right now, they're 100%, they're going in 100%, we should come in 100%. I mean, it makes sense.
Understood. Thank you. Shirley, do you have any opinion? Not to put you on the spot.
More neutral because I think it's too early. Because we already decided that 100% of the students will be going back. But at the moment right now, we can't really decide whether we're gonna do the remote or anything right now. So I think it's too early to decide on anything. And so I think we need to kind of see what happens during September. And as a parent, we're looking at it just like you said. I think we should definitely do it in person for now and then see what happens.
So it looks like we unanimously all agree that at the moment we should continue our 100% in person with voting in person and making motions in person. We do have a setup here where we do have a hybrid for those who cannot attend, especially for the public because we are limited in the capacity of our attendees. So I think, and I would appreciate your opinion. Are we okay with moving forward with this hybrid meeting with the way we have it set up today? Is everyone in agreement to that? Okay. But it just means that those CEC members that are not present, if they even are on the hybrid, they wouldn't have any voting rights. So basically it would just keep things the way they are until we vote otherwise, basically. Correct? Okay, so that's good. The other thing is we have to set up, we'll talk about it. I know we have a lot on our agenda, but I want to talk about our budget allocation, and I want to talk about the school liaison list, okay? And then, Joseph, we'll get to your point, okay? And then we'll allow for the public agenda and speaking time. Carly, we have to vote, well, we can vote on the budget allocation, correct? So in your folders, you will see Carly left something regarding our budget. Pull that out. Carly, do you want to explain? Because I don't think that our newly elected treasurer would have that information as of yet,
I
right?
actually clued her in.
Oh, you did? Okay, so you want to comment? You want to comment? I give you the floor. You want to comment on the budget?
No, I spoke with her and then I think
Juliana, maybe you can answer this part. I don't know if we're getting 25 or 20 this year. Do you know what we're getting?
I don't have it confirmed in writing. I assume 25,000.
I assumed also. So this budget is based on whatever we allocated last year. We really didn't use much of it because we were remote. But so I just kind of mirrored what we used. The budget usually you can change it before March, I believe is the deadline. So this doesn't have to be set in stone. It's just so that you have something to use, and then you can always switch it around as needed. where it says member reimbursement, that's where your child care and your Wi-Fi, they're still getting Wi-Fi? That's where your child care and your Wi-Fi will come from. If you need it, purchasing card, it is a credit card that we use. So I buy like water, sometimes I go to Staples for that, you know, like this, it's just a credit card. And, but that credit card, I can't just use it how I, you know, I have to have like, everything has to have receipts and permission and all kinds of things. The supply line is, again, it would be anything that we need to run the office, to run our meetings, to run our events, to run, if you need a computer, if you need office supplies, things of that nature. Also falls under kind of like meeting expenses. Don't know meeting expenses. I don't really see us using 7,500, but what happens is that our grant manager, she usually takes the money there. Like if they have an event, she usually pulls it from either that category or the supply line. So that's why I try to put the most money in those two categories. So that if you do want to buy something big or whatever, you have the money to do so. I don't know if I explained that right.
Just quick question, Carly. On the supply line, that includes office supplies, technology, and meeting expenses. It's a separate line item?
So meeting expenses is like if you want me to cater food.
Okay, so what I'm asking about, we have this set up here with this hybrid instruction. We need to get a better camera.
That will come from the supply line,
It
and
will
then I
come
would
from
have
this.
to make it a technology line.
Okay. And if we were to create a website or have somebody work on our website, on what topic would that fall
I'm
under?
pretty sure that would also come from the supply line, but I have to ask her.
Okay. So the numbers that you put on this,
Tentative.
those are tentative numbers
You can
based on
always change
last
them
year's
if you
numbers?
want. Yes.
Got it, okay. Does everybody understand how everything was allocated and how it totals? So are there any requests here to make any changes to what is on the budget in your folder? Anybody? So I'll start, right? So I see that we have $7,500 allocated to our meeting expenses. I think that we really need to focus on the technology because I don't know, this technology that we have here with these wires, how efficient it is with the sound. I know Carly explained to me that our computer is down in the office, correct? So we're going to need, I think, I'm just suggesting these are things that we're going to have to work on this term.
So,
Go ahead.
7,500 in my brain came from what we use, what amount that we spend for if you don't know student award ceremony. We spend a good deal.
Most of that money went towards the student award. So what we do is CDC usually does an end of year award ceremony, which we did not do last year because we did not have in-person instruction. In the past, most of the money that we used was for food, I believe, right? Food,
the bags,
snacks. We made
paper.
certain gift bags. We had award certificates. We had certain things that we gave to our student members. I don't know if we have to plan our meetings, but maybe we can vote on the budget numerous times and we can change it. But maybe we can allocate some money out of there to put it towards the technology, so we could address those more important issues, right? Like I said, I know from my discussion with Carly, we need a computer in her office. I would want to make sure that we're good with our hybrid instruction with the technology here. I would, because we worked a lot remotely last year, and a lot of the parents were asking about a website, I would ask or make a recommendation with your approval that we focus on our website, maybe get somebody to manage it, improve it, and help Carly out on that end. So I see more money going that way than the way it is right now. What the purchasing card? Does everyone understand what that means?
I was going to ask about that. What is the purchasing
Perfect, it's just a debit card.
Oh, but what's the purpose of, to use for meeting expenses?
I use it for small purchase items, like if I have to go to for example, the water, I bought it, but usually I would go and just go to Stop and Shop and just go get the water. Or, Dunkin' Donuts, things like that. Or if I need something paper from Staples that I don't need like a big, I would go and order it from there. It's just a credit card so that I can buy whatever I need at the moment instead of having to make.
So Carly usually has to get her spending purchases approved, correct, by the budgeting office. If she uses this purchasing card, like this debit card, it just makes it easier and it's just quicker to get it done. So I mean, you definitely use money on the purchasing card for like some of our meetings, like the water, or the paper, or whatnot. So I just, my opinion is, what I stated, but I just wanted to put that out to you guys and see what you think.
You think parents can have that number?
I don't know. Well, we had a lot of comments last term, and I had a lot of questions about our website. But I know, Carly, you didn't manage it. Louis manages it.
I give him whatever it is I need, and then he puts it in the little category of the CEC portion of the district.
Right. So Louis Latino, he works for the district office. He's not a member of CEC, and we're always grateful to the district office, and I thank our superintendent. But I think we need to get, if we can afford it, we need to get our own person to manage that, because we always have to depend on Louis, and Louis is not here, and sometimes I don't think, he does it as a favor, but I think we really should maybe get someone else to manage it. I remember last year we had one of our CEC members also manage it. No, that was our social media, correct? You've been doing that, right?
With Facebook, but the parents are I have everything goes to basically they go to D25 and that's where they go to do their everything's on that list there. So if you want to do something else.
So a lot of the parent coordinators would call me, so look, it's not on your website, or we don't know about it. It's like it's not most of these schools go on social media. So it's that's where I got the message from. Go ahead.
Do you have anyone in mind? Who will we reach out to get that kind of support, right?
So that's something that we could ask Carly to look into to see, who
I know that
manages.
there's vendors.
Yeah, there are vendors.
Brianna has spoken about some other CECs that use vendors to help them.
Right. So they would have to be approved, right, by the DOE. So it's always vetted.
It has to be approved by DOE first.
Correct. Right.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Because at our school at 107, we one of our PTA members is setting up a website for our PTA, and I put this idea to him to see if he wants to do the same CEC. Would that be okay or no?
So that would have to go through. I think would have to be vetted through
Would it be
FACE.
voluntary, or you would have to have a vendor number?
Correct. Either voluntary, or if they're going to get paid, they need a vendor number through.
Okay.
I have paperwork for becoming a vendor.
Okay.
It's just, usually, the paperwork is simple, the processing takes about 3 months.
I see. Okay.
Do we know, I don't know, you don't know, Carly, because you don't, do we know, Juliana, what are we looking at in terms of cost of managing our website?
So the person is probably really simple to work with. His first name is Bill. He does CEC 30's website. He does CEC 7's website. He has a simple template that looks very similar across CECs. He charges about $2,500 in the first year. It's a $1,500 setup fee to work with you to decide what sections you want to have on your site. And then for another $1,000, it's about $1,000 or $1,500 every year after for maintenance. Carly would send him the content. So you still have to create your content. Carly has to still produce the content, and this person just uploads it to the site.
Go ahead.
And District 25 will still keep all of your information on our website, right? Links to meetings, any kind of information that we normally do. It's just that Louis was managing both. And one of the things that Joe and I talked about is really kind of fracturing that to make sure that the CEC really has their own site that the community can do outreach to. Because sometimes they'll make complaints that they want the CEC to see, right? And Louis has full access to that. Not that I wouldn't know about it anyway, but what I'm saying is like they write directly to the CEC because they want to speak to the CEC separate from the district. So we really talked about splitting that, and then Louis can also reach out to Carly to say, we're updating our D25 website. Is there anything you would like for us to put on there? That way it would be more directed by all of you.
And it would probably make Carly's life a little bit easier because it's just, she's managing with Louis managing, but if it's a little bit more structured and organized, maybe it could be more efficient. But again, I think we need to vote on that, right? We need to vote on that. But you're saying you're talking about approximately $2,500 because this budget is yearly, right? So that would be a $2,500 item. I'm just bringing it out there, right? Just want something to talk about. The same thing with office supplies, Carly. Like, what do you think it's going to cost for a new computer in your office?
I don't know.
We don't know.
We just bought them. It's about the desktops.
That's my
$600, $700.
Right. Is that inclusive? Well, we don't know. Is your screen working as well? Is your printer
Screen
working?
works it's just that it's not turning, I can't access anything. It won't, I tried the help desk, nothing works. They said I need a new one.
I would say if you allocated $1,000 to $1,200.
Okay. And what about technology, like the system? How did we get this? Is this ours? This is ours, so we have it already, and it's already connected to your laptop.
Yes.
So, and we don't know if it's working efficiently as of yet.
It is.
Works nicely. As an audience member, having watched a couple of your meetings,
Right.
it works very well.
It works well?
Yeah.
Okay, so for the time being,
Audio's perfect.
the video now is
There's a little, it's not beautiful, but you can see
Because it's far, I haven't yet played with it to see like how I can kind of do it.
Got it.
But
So it's not something that
you
needs
can
to be
see
addressed right now. Exactly. So what I'm suggesting is if you guys, we have to vote on these things, right? So right now, Carly allocated about $8,500 on the supply line, which would include most of the things we spoke about. The member reimbursement, she's got $4,500 in there. That covers you for childcare, parking, or anything that relates to your out-of-pocket expense for a CEC function. In the past, we've had $4,500 in there, and it worked that way, correct, Polly? And then the purchasing card, the same thing. So, I mean, are you guys okay in voting for the allocation the way it is here now, or does anybody have any suggestions or motions to move money from one section to the other?
What is the meeting expenses for you?
meetings, because there's anything that would make
Pertaining to the meeting. So basically,
The award ceremony.
the bulk of that money in the past went towards our award ceremony. I personally feel, I'm sorry?
And Zoom did that one before, and the money comes from there, so.
For our Zoom.
The Zoom, remember when we had.
Oh, we did a community event at a zoo where we invited the community and we paid through that meeting expense.
Like our events and things like that.
Those are for events. I don't know where we stand right now, but we can vote on the budget today, and then we can modify the budget as needed. Correct? We have until what? February?
February.
March. So if you feel that between now and, maybe we don't need to keep all that money there, we can put it someplace else. I would suggest moving it up to one of the other areas, and maybe just so we can start putting money there, so when Carly needs to get the computer, or if we decide that we want to do a website, we have money in there. We don't have to wait another month to reallocate the budget, and then it's going to take more time.
So we have to make motion?
Yeah, I would do it. I would do it by motion, and we vote on it. So, in other words, if you want to make a motion to move money from one section to the other, I would suggest making the motion.
I want to make a motion to allocate $1,500 from meeting expenses up to the supply line for a new desktop for the office.
Can I just say that you already
So we already have $8,500 in that on that section. So
Which includes the desktop?
Yeah.
correct. So that would include office supplies, the desktop technology,
And
if
the
we decide on the website.
website.
Those will all be included there.
So it's enough.
We don't know for a fact if it's enough, but we have to do the research. But it should be enough.
I mean, the computer, like you said, is $1,000. The website is $2,500, and we still have more than enough money in there for supplies.
We can wait, but the problem is if we wait, and then we have to change it, it could take a couple of months.
The money doesn't get allocated until September, October, which
Right.
means that if you, anything that
We would
comes
have
up,
to
I
vote
have
on
no
it today.
paper, I have no ink, I have item supplies, but the money won't come from,
What?
so I would, or you wait.
You have to
We need to vote on the budget today.
as is, and then you can
And then we
change
should change it later.
Okay.
What I would suggest, having served on this already, I would suggest still taking $1,500 off the meeting expenses and putting it on the supply line. So we have more money there. Are we okay with that? I can make that motion.
So it would be,
So I would leave 6,000 in the meeting expenses and add the 1,500 to the 8,500,
so it would be,
making it 10,000. And then leaving everything the way it is. And then we can vote on it. At least we have the budget approved, and if we have to modify, we can modify it as needed. Is everybody okay with that?
65.
So I made the motion, Joseph Chow seconded that. I have to do it by motion, but we'll vote on it, okay? So Carly, we have so far $4,500 in the member reimbursement, $4,500 in the under the purchasing card, $10,000 under the supply line, and $6,000 under the meeting expenses. Do those total $25,000?
No,
Meeting expenses,
6,500.
I'm sorry, $6,500.
Oh, no,
No.
60, it's 60.
6,000.
6,000, okay. Yeah,
16,
6,000.
20, 25, yes. Okay? Does everyone have that? And we'll do a roll call vote on that. Correct, Juliana? We have to vote on it. Morris? Right, we vote on the budget. Okay. So we're going to vote on allocating $4,500 under the member reimbursement, $4,500 under the purchasing card, $10,000 under the supply line, and $6,000 under the meeting expenses.
Right.
Holly, can you go through the roll call?
Ready?
Yes.
Joseph Di Benedetto,
I vote to approve.
Winnie Yu,
I vote to approve.
Anne Marie Knavel, Joseph Chow,
Approve.
Sonia Lee, Michelle Frederick, and that's it.
So we have a 6 vote on the approval. Agreed upon. Our budget is set. So Carly can submit the budget, and then we can move forward on spending the money. Job well done. Thank you, council members. The next thing I want to talk about is the school liaison list. So we will talk a little bit more during the business meeting, but we generally assign a number of schools to each representative to act as a liaison to our schools in the district. It is a conflict to apply as a liaison to a school where your child attends, because you as a parent should be involved in your child's school. So in your folder, you'll have a list of 36 schools. You see it? And right now we're actually 9 members, but we're 6 here. I mean, I would suggest assigning, I mean, I know Rashmi's not here, and Mr. Iron's not here, and Pamela's not here, so there's 3 members that are not present. So maybe we can vote on, if we're 9 and there's 36, we're 4 schools each, and we can start organizing by picking 4 schools each at this time. What we can do is, we'll go through, how are we gonna do this? Do you want, let's start, we'll do 1 by 1, and this way it'll be fair to everyone.
Front back, and in your paper, in your folder, there should be like a list of addresses in case you're not sure where the school is, you have more or less an idea.
So I just want to be fair to everyone in case there's more than one person that wants one school. So why don't we go through, we'll just go around the table. Is that okay, council members? We'll start with Michelle. You'll pick one school that you want, then Wing, then Joseph, myself, Anne Marie, and then Sonia. Then we'll just keep going around the table until we have 4 each. Is that okay? Okay, so Michelle, because you're last, you're first to go.
The first one. Yes.
Wait.
Oh, come on, I was gonna do the second one.
That's why I told you one at a time while on the table. So why don't you go for your first choice?
Well, this is my second choice now. 25 to 193.
Wait, IS 25?
No, 193.
193.
sorry.
I'm picking where I
He's taking his first choice, second choice. I'll take PS 32. Anne Marie?
Can I have a school that was a former school of Liaison? Is that okay?
As long as none of your children go to that school, there's no conflict.
Awesome, 129.
129, Anne Marie. Shirley?
IS 25.
Back to Michelle. We're going to pick 4 each.
What did you say?
I picked PS 32.
Oh, 32.
We're going to pick 4 each. So, Michelle, you already have PS 20, 21, is already chosen, 25, 32, 129, and 193.
PS 154.
PS 130,
194.
Hold on, I've lost, I can't find 130. Oh, here it is, I'm sorry. And you picked 194?
Correct.
I'm going to pick 169. It's on the other side. It's both sides, remember.
Okay, so I'm going to go to the flip side too and say.
Which one be pre-K centers?
There's 2 pre-K centers, one in College Point and one right here in Whitestone.
So does that cover both of them? It just says.
No, there's
2. There's Z100
I wasn't sure.
and Z100 is in Whitestone right here, and Z118 is the pre-K center by 370.
So do we need to put another 37 here? Is
Yeah,
there?
I think I said, thank you, Sharon, I'm sorry.
So
I wasn't
on
sure.
number 36, we're going to split that, this 2 of them.
Well, what I will say is there's one director for both schools.
Oh, so they're gonna cover
with them,
both.
right, so you might want to cover
I'm
both.
going to take the pre-K center.
So those of you who don't know
Pre-K center here.
where the schools are, Emory's in the pre-K center. There's a list here of the schools with their address in the file, so you know.
I don't have my glasses, I can't read anything. I'm really pretending right now.
Are you okay?
I'm thinking it.
Shirley, you got 2 schools already, so you're good.
I go one school.
You got, now your turn. for
Oh, okay,
school.
okay. I'll take 185.
185, that's Shirley. Okay, round 3, Michelle.
PS 200.
PS 200. Wing.
Someone said 185?
25 is taken.
200.
No, Michelle has it.
That's taken.
Don't take mine. You took mine from me already.
Had a bag of this week in a bag of spinach. Where's the flip side?
169?
That's taken.
Can I pick mine while you look through your homework?
Wait, what about 79?
Okay.
Right, because Joseph, your kids go 79, yes, so what about, because it's actually fairly close to 21.
It's very close.
So Wayne, you got 79, you're writing down.
Yeah.
I'm writing all the people,
I am.
so I call these wrong, so we know it's
And
something's
I'm
taken.
sure Amy
May I
too.
take 209?
Joseph wants to take 209,
Okay.
and I will take 379. Anne Marie, do you need help? You need another number? You good? You good?
I'm
You
gonna do that.
want to borrow my glasses? They're really strong.
What about
No, it's okay, I'm just
That's
gonna,
29.
I'll take 29, that's fine, yeah.
You look too young.
Thank you.
So Anne Marie has 29, and Shirley.
South Avenue.
So Bella Ketter is what? MS, she's gonna take it? 294?
Wait, Emery, which one was the last one you said you're taking?
29.
29.
And then Shirley has MS 294, number 33.
Thank you.
Okay, this is number 4, Michelle, the last one.
Awesome.
Did you have three, did we do
We have 21, 54, and 200.
Okay.
Do you want one close to 154, 250? Yeah, 254 is right around the corner.
Oh,
So if you
that's
you could do
easy, yeah.
200, you might want to do
Are you
that.
okay with that?
That's fine.
That's 50%.
Minus 250. Oh, minus 250.
Isn't that exactly what it said?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. My son goes there.
I should know that, my son went there.
Wayne,
We never
did you
told
help with
him.
anything?
Yeah.
Can you make a recommendation, Wayne? You make a recommendation?
Yeah, please.
214 is right around the corner from 21, it's like right over here, or you could do the Early Childhood Center, which is 242, which is right across the street here. I don't know where you live.
Is there anything else close to 130?
107, oh, you're 107.
No, nobody has 107.
She's from 107.
Oh, you know.
22.
Are you okay with 22?
Is 163 the bilingual school that have the rental program?
Yes.
Do you want me to go there?
It's up here.
Up to you.
It's up here.
What school is that? 160?
63.
163.
It's impossible to park.
Danielle, do you have any suggestions for me?
You're all over the place. How about 189? Make sure that because that's where we visit. So do
Yeah, I'll do 189. So I'm on 189. Thank you.
Right?
Yeah, perfect.
Where you want to go? Why don't you try 242 right, since you're doing pre-K center? 242 is right outside of College Point, right here.
Okay.
And I'll get you.
Deal.
So, I'll talk about that. So Joseph asked me, so we all have 4 schools. Joseph asked me if we wanted to temporarily assign 5 schools to everybody since we don't have, but the other 3 members should be at our next meeting, and school has not started yet. So I would suggest maybe tabling it to the next meeting, and if they don't attend, if you want to take on another school, unless we want to just arbitrarily, how many schools open? Oh, sorry, Shirley, and Ready. I cut you off, so-
Every year is 242.
I'm sorry, Shirley.
Any suggestions?
Yeah, she
I mean, you did something very interesting. You picked all middle schools. I mean, if you wanted to do a middle school east, you might want to do 237. That's the last middle, that's another middle school.
I could pick one.
Or if you want to do a K to 8, so you could, so there's 219, which, I don't know where you live. So there's 219, or there's the other K to 8 is 164, which is over here. And there's also
107. 499.
499. Oh, 499 by Queens College.
499?
499.
That's number 35 in the back.
And they have a good math program.
Yeah, you wanna,
Are you okay with that, Cheryl? So
499?
499.
So there's 12 left.
There's 12 left, and we have 3 members who are not here, so it could be 4 each. So why don't we just wait until the next, you wanna, I mean, I don't know where they live, you know, but maybe Carly by next month, put it, the 12 schools, and we'll have to assign them by next month, we'll decide what to do. Is that okay? School starts in September, we're meeting in September, so Carly will send out the liaison group after our September meeting. I don't think so we're going to discuss during the business meeting, the protocol with how we conduct our school visits and, you know, the liaison, so, you know, we'll have time. We don't need to do anything between now and September in terms of contacting the schools, because the schools are not open yet for in-person instruction. I didn't get the last school that you picked, 499, I'm sorry, I believe it. 242 or 244? 242, I think is that the one.
Can I just read it to make sure?
Yes, let's just read it.
Okay. PS 20, Michelle Frederick. PS 21, Winier. PS 22, Winier. IS 25, Shirley. PS 29, I'm sorry, the same person at this point. PS 29, Anne Marie. PS 32, Joe Benedetto. PS 79, Wendy. PS 129, Anne Marie. PS 130, Wendy. Right? So far?
Yes.
PS 154, Michelle. 185, Shirley. 189, Joe Benedetto. 193, Joseph Chu. 194, Joseph Chu. PS MS 200, Michelle. PS 209, Joseph Chu. 242, Anne Marie. PS 163, Joseph Chu. PS 169, Josie Benedetto. IS 250, Michelle Frederick. 294, Shirley. 379, Josie Benedetto. 499, Sonia Lee. And PP Center is Anne.
Correct.
That's right?
Yes. Okay, so we assigned it for now, at least we did something, and then we'll take on the remaining 12 schools during our September meeting. Hopefully the other CEC members will be present. If they're not, then we'll maybe add another school each. We'll take it from there. Okay? Okay, so I just want to move our calendar meeting along. Now I want to talk, I know that Joseph Chow had made a request to discuss a possible resolution for Asian hate and crime. So do you want to speak, Mr. Chow?
I'll be very quick. I think it was in March, a few of us parents of District 26, District 1, put together a proposal because we saw the crime against Asians going up. We realized it's probably a lack of understanding, lack of knowledge. Of course, well, ever since the beginning of the pandemic, it started because guess who said what. So anyway,
Can you hear Mr. Chow? Can you speak up, Mr. Chow?
okay, so here is the proposal for resolution. These are put together by Mr. L. So who's sitting in the back. The data was collected by a number of people, so they put it together. I won't go into details for this. We do want to have a resolution. It's unfortunate when I emailed party, I left out the resolution part.
No, we can't.
You have it, but you didn't print it?
Oh, no, what's this? Wasn't this it?
No, there was something else.
Oh, then no, I didn't.
Actually, when I read it,
Do you have the actual resolution prepared?
no, I didn't print it because I thought she was going to print it.
No, I didn't see it.
All right, so what should I do?
So why don't we have the discussion on what you want to do?
Okay.
And then, you know, we can,
So I have it here. Aren't you glad I retired? So anyway, this is too much. I can't believe it. It's about a page. So anyway, so what happened was, let's just look at let's do this quickly, right? 2 states already. Have you used 2 states already? Here are some numbers here. Okay. Okay.
in the back, and we have the public.
Okay. So I'm going to try to speak up. The anti-Asian hate crime reported to the police. There are some numbers here. Overall, The study conducted of police report data from 16 largest U.S. cities, California State University. Overall hate crime decreased nationwide from 2019 to 2020 by 6%. Yet anti-Asian hate crime increased by 145%. In New York City alone, anti-Asian hate crime decreased 833% from 2019 to 2020. In the first quarter of 2021, anti-Asian hate crimes in New York City was 26% higher than in the first quarter of 2020. These are those numbers collected by various data sources. About 2 weeks ago, 2 Myanmar women were attacked. The mother ended up in the hospital. She died from the injury. Right? Well, she's not even Chinese, but she's Asian. So it's very important that we raise the awareness of what the contributions Asians have done to this country. I would say the Asian contribution is very, very important. People talk about the transatlantic railway. I think that's the only thing they focus on, but there are many other things. As of 1986, there were 3 Chinese who were Nobel Prize winners, all in physics. I don't think too many people were aware of that unless they are physicists themselves. So they see the need to educate the general public in terms of curriculum. We have the support of John Liu. We also have the support of former or current politicians. In May each year, there's the Asian Culture Month, I believe it's called. Correct me if I'm wrong. There is already scheduled a month to celebrate Asian cultures, but I don't think too many schools really do much. I work in a school where each May they have something called the International Festival. We celebrate Asian cultures, American cultures, of course, and South American cultures, where different groups of students perform. They also make ethnic food. They have their ethnic dress. So that was very well done, but that's just only one high school. That's not even in District 25, but anyway. So I think it's important that we do this. The specifics are written, it's not written by someone who's inside the DOE, so some language may have to be modified. So I will present that. I emailed it to her already just now, but you may have to make some modifications. It's probably too late for this meeting now. I apologize because in my haste I probably say it before. But it's urgent that we do something because only through education can we achieve better understanding of each other. I don't think most people understand the difference between Chinese culture and Korean culture. One of my former principals once asked me, "Do you speak Korean?" I said, "No, I'm Chinese." He goes, "But that's all in Asia." I looked at him, I go, "Do you speak Spanish?" He goes, "No." I said, "Well, Mexico is part of North America." Right, so we really need to, good thing my principals are all very kind to me. So we need to educate the public, particularly our children. They're all American. Maybe my son could run for president, hopefully not, but he could because he was born here. Right, so only through education can we unite as one people. Thank you.
So what I'm hearing is more of a goal that maybe you're suggesting we as the CEC should pursue. We don't have a resolution on the table, so we really can't vote on a resolution. So I mean, it's not more about voting on a resolution, although I support you in what you're saying, but I think you might be referring more to a goal of what we can vote on as one of our CEC functions if everyone agrees to it, and maybe we can form a subcommittee and work on the language of a resolution and then vote on that. right? But I don't have the resolution in front of me, so I don't even know what
Yeah,
it is.
I actually have a resolution, I just have to print it out next time.
I just want to actually make just a couple of comments for everyone to consider, just in terms of the district. So I'm looking through the recommendations, and I appreciate a lot of them. You know, and I definitely think this is part of a discussion in terms of a relationship between the CEC and the district, and also some of our local family partners, such as CAPA, the Chinese American Parent Association, and CAPA NY, which is the Korean American Parent Association. So one of the things that I just want to put out there is that because we have been very lucky in working with our community, and our principals in schools and staff have done that for many years, we do celebrate across all of our schools the Asian cultures, right? And we certainly know the difference between Korean and Chinese cultures. You know, and one of the things that we celebrate in District 25 is, you know, we have many of our bilingual programs because of the celebrations that we do and the value that we do for multiple languages being offered across our district. And we have one of the only Korean dual language programs in the East Coast at PS 32. So I would say, just in terms of celebrating the Asian cultures, it's something that we do very well across our district. And 160, like it usually happens in February, aligned with Lunar New Year when we have them. I don't know if any of you as parents have been part of some of the celebrations. I know 32 does one, 163 does one, 107 does a very nice one, 79 does a very nice one. So, so that is something that I would like to highlight for the community, because if they don't, they're not aware of the fact that we do that. I think they should be more aware of how we celebrate cultures, you know, across the diversity of the district, of the cultures within our district. But the Asian culture is certainly something that we know and spend a lot of time learning and teaching about. Additionally, restorative practices through social emotional learning is something that we have done a lot of work with in many of our schools. 499 actually leads the way in terms of restorative circles. They've been a model for a lot of schools in our district. As well as bias trainings have happened in the district for all of our principals, assistant principals, and our teachers. So things like you just expressed, Joe, are not said, right? Because I do know that sometimes it's implicit bias, and very often it is bias, right? And so that is something that we have focused on as a district, that Dr. D'Antuono and I want to spend more time talking to our parents about, to make sure that they're aware of that. But I value a lot of the other recommendations that are presented here, and it's something that I would partner with the CEC should they take this on.
Thank you, Danielle. Does anyone else have a comment or want to add on to what Michelle?
I emailed it to her.
You got a few changes, it's 26, 25.
I'll do it.
Do you want to say something, Emery? Go ahead.
I do, because I always have something to say, apparently.
I think you didn't have to speak up.
Okay.
If you don't mind. Can you hear her in the back?
Can you hear me? Okay. So I think this is fabulous, and it's a lot of work and a lot of detail. And I think we definitely have to focus on the cultural diversity of our district. And I think it's really, really relevant that we focus on the main things that have happened in the last year and a half. Black Lives Matter, the Asian community, the hate crimes that have been going on. You have so many things going on in the media right now, so many different populations and religions and sexual preference. There are so many things that are targets right now that I hesitate. I love this idea, but I hesitate to say a resolution that's just for Asian hate, because there's so much hate going on in other areas. I would like to see something more, encompassing all of the issues, going along with, I didn't read your resolution, so I don't really know what it says to say fully, but I like the idea of what you're saying here, but I think that it should be, to encompass our community as a whole, it should be a little broadened. Considered to be a little broadened.
So if I may answer you
Yeah, of
your
course.
statement. Right now, the people are dying. People are dying because of this.
I understand.
I'm trying to think of the time, but there was a Japanese volume player in the subway. What was going on? He got beaten up.
And
I mean, you should. There's no difference between discrimination against someone who's gay, versus someone who's Asian, versus someone who's black, versus someone who is Jewish. There's no difference. It's
Right.
discrimination, right? So we are concerned about the safety of the Asian children. Elementary school, maybe not so much. Middle school, high school, we're very concerned. I know we're primarily focused on middle school, elementary school, because of the leadership of the superintendent here. It may not be that much an issue in elementary school, but middle school, high school, are very concerned. We are, as parents, are very concerned. I kept reminding my son, he goes, Dad, I know. If I see people who look suspicious, turn around, walking at the way. Dad, I know. I shouldn't walk alone. I should walk with friends.
so can I ask you, should the African American population feel that we should have a resolution? Should we have 3 different resolutions?
Okay,
4 different resolutions?
so you brought up a good point. There's a Title 6 federal law that says you cannot discriminate against people,
Yeah.
in general, right? The Congress not too long ago passed a resolution against Asian crime. And the Asian crime, they could use the same argument. Why do you need this? Why do you have Title 6? I think we're at a point where people are dying. I'm sure if, let's say, Latin Americans are being attacked, some group will come together with a resolution to protect them.
I'm all in support of the idea. I don't want to say that I'm not. I'm all in support of
No,
the idea.
I
I'm
understand
just
exactly.
saying
I
that
understand you.
it should be considered that it should be something
I
like that.
understand exactly what you're
More
saying.
encompassing.
Yeah, that's all.
All other races and genders.
I think the wording should be, yeah, exactly. The wording should be more encompassing. It's exactly what you're saying, but also we're against hate of any kind.
Yeah.
We're against bullying of any kind. We're against, the targeting of any particular group. We're against all of it.
I believe I started off saying, we believe a lot of things are going on because of the ignorance on the part of people. We want to bring it to the attention of school children so that they're well educated. Hopefully someone will go home and educate their parents.
What a great idea would be for our council to consider, we last year targeted having a lot of special needs meetings and stuff. Maybe we need to have diversity meetings. Maybe we need to make that a goal for our term, is to have meetings that show the diversity. These are the different types of Asian people. These are the different things that are going on. And just focus on that diversity to bring the knowledge that you're talking about.
So I think, because I haven't seen the resolution, and I know Carly just emailed it, but I don't have time to read it right now, but it's something that, again, I support it. I understand what you're saying, and I think a distinction between what Anne Marie's saying and what Joseph is saying is, Joseph is saying this is a particular need that involves safety in what's going on right now in our society, and he wants to make a strong statement with regard to that subgroup and what's happening, right? So I don't think you're discrediting anything else, but you say, look, I'm talking about safety of the Asian community, and particularly, hopefully, you're referring to our district, because it was something coming from our district. But I think we need to have more conversations on it, and we need to look at the language of what his resolution states, because that maybe that touches on another resolution about diversity, and it could be. I think you're both saying the same thing, but in different. He's talking about one particular incident, or one particular, an attack against one particular group, where the Asian community does not feel safe in our district and sending our kids to school.
I don't see in this statistics on our district that there would be incidents or specifics in district. I don't see this as focusing on District 25. I see this as a citywide issue, as a nationwide issue. I don't see it focusing on our district
It's being
specifically.
presented in other CCs as well.
So
It's being presented.
I'm looking at District 25. I can't really look at 25.
Right.
I
So,
look at 25.
Where we're coming from, because Anne Marie served on the last term, and there was an issue regarding a resolution for special needs. And it was something where a council member wanted us to sign on to someone else's petition. And the CEC at that time said, look, we'll create our own resolution because we've always done our own resolutions. And we'll vote and we'll decide what we feel is important, but coming from us. Like, we don't want to sign on to someone else's resolution. We'll create our own. I think that's what Emery's referring to. So again, I haven't seen the resolution that you prepared. Maybe we, let's talk about, I don't want to discredit anybody here. So Emery, you commented, I want to give Shirley an opportunity, I want to give Michelle an opportunity, and Wing an opportunity to speak also. Do you have any comments on what Mr. Chow is presenting or what his concern is? Let's start with Shirley this time.
I think it's useful. I think what Jerome is trying to speak out as big concept.
You have to speak up because I'm not sure if they can hear you.
I think Jerome, I believe this is how I understood this because he wants to bring this up because in this time, what we are going to do spark something that was there, but not as big, but that sparked became a huge fire, I believe. And now that we are at a point where we can't just see it as a fire, now it's like spreading, this fire spreading. So I think that's what we wanted to point that out. It's not that we wanted to just not represent others. It's just that he was particular, like you mentioned, that specific reason.
So what you're saying is Joseph Chow is referring to an imminent concern
Yes.
in current events of what's happening and something that he wants to address. Understood.
Yes. That's how I understand.
Thank you, Shirley. Wait, Michelle.
Well, of course, I agree with Joe, and I also share the same sentiment with Anne-Marie. I mean, I absolutely agree that we all need to educate ourselves, the parents and the students, of all kinds of hate crimes, with to all subgroups, and so maybe this is a beginning to something bigger that we can explore in the upcoming meetings. So at least we have something to start with, and maybe we'll work together on something even bigger.
Thank you, Michelle.
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I guess first listening to it, it does pinpoint a specific group. It's not very broad. It's very specific to what he's entailing, and I can understand where you're coming from. With Anne-Marie, I kind of, maybe I want to say I draw more to what she's saying because it's everywhere. So I know what's happening when it comes to the Asian society and how they, being attacked and everything else. But I also see another side where I'm coming from and where I work, that a lot of the African Americans, they have. It's coming from schools, no enrichment, no activities outside, and they're ending up where I work. So I see both sides. I also would like to see the resolution, and then I guess we can go from there. It's a little bit of a touchy subject, and I kind of don't want to just draw into it just yet. I don't want it to be like it's something that we're dividing. I want it to be everybody's together. So I don't want it to be where everybody's like on this side or on that side because it pinpoints to a specific need. I kind of wanted to see the resolution. Then I guess we can go. I think the idea was nice, the diversity. We can actually talk about everything and not just maybe one thing, but we can start somewhere. It starts somewhere.
Point well taken. Go ahead, Danny.
There's an important part of this that I think is just worth mentioning and thinking about in terms of parents. One of the things that we've been working on as a district that we still need to do a lot more work on is communicating with parents in reporting. And I was really happy to see this, like anti-bullying methods and reporting things to schools. we see a lot of families that once we get connected to them, especially at the district level, by the time somebody gets to the district level, we're in a very different place than at the school level. And we there's a lot of times with, especially our families that speak languages other than English, they don't know reporting methods. So, I'm very glad to see that here because, one of the things I think is important to consider is we're between 48 and 50% Asian in our district. So if you would look at our statistics, you may see, just in terms of bullying and bias being led towards a certain group. But I definitely, I like what the committee is saying, that there's more discussion about it, and I'm happy to join in that with you. But I did see that something that does come up a lot is reporting of our parents, that they just don't know where to go when their children tell them about bias or bullying incidents that are happening outside or at school.
So I just want to state that, I am supportive 100% of what Emery has to say, of what Michelle has to say, and what Mr. Chow has to say. So, I support every one of you, having served on this committee in the past. I believe that we should set goals and work on them, perhaps form subcommittees. I don't think we're ready to sign off on a resolution right now, from what the discussion is right now, and we don't have the resolution before us, so we really can't vote on it today. But I would maybe suggest that we form subcommittees. Maybe we can do a subcommittee on anti-bias or hate or diversity, or we could take it from there and then have the subcommittee report back, and then we have time. It's not something that we have to do today, but maybe we do it the right way and debate it, talk about it, get some input from the community, allow for public comment, and really make a positive and an actionable resolution that has some backbone to it and make a statement or two, right? So I would suggest that I don't think there's anything we can vote on because there's no resolution before us in writing that we can vote on, and I don't think it's going to be voted anyway right now. So does anyone have problems with maybe during our business meeting we'll form subcommittees, and if you're interested in joining, and we'll break it up that way? Is that okay?
That's fine.
Perfect. Okay. So I want to move the calendar meeting along because we're running very quickly here. And is there anybody on the public speaking portion?
Morris Altman, and then after that, Yasmin Goldberg.
Okay, so nobody in the chat. Okay, Morris, you want to come on?
What do you want to do, Sam?
The camera's there, Mars.
You can.
This room's always been a challenge. I've always dealt with that. Yeah. I wanted to say first off, thank you for all the new members for joining, and all the older members for continuing to work, and Danielle for just doing a super job. I've said it before, and Joseph also. It's really nice to see you take over and just continue the same theme that's been going in this district for many years. Grace Men wrote that federal law, and she's in our district. So there's a resource for you if you want to go with that. And I certainly hear both sides of it. And there's bias towards a lot of the groups that are just sitting right at this table right now. So there's been problems with it in this area, not just other places. So that's kind of concerning. I'm on the Borough President's Advisory Board. I've been there for a long time now. And if there's anything that you think the Borough President might be able to help you with in the district, let me know. I'll bring it along. And I'll also occasionally report on things that are going there. I've done that before. So it's great to see everybody. It's so nice to see the meetings in person again after.
Yes, so nice to see you, Morris. I'm going to start with one request right now. So
Yes.
I've reached out to the Borough President. We are waiting for our borough president appointees.
Oh,
We have
yes.
2 appointees. Only District 26 was assigned appointed representatives who are already serving. I don't understand why do they get it and we don't get it. And I know of more than 2 applications that were submitted to the borough president that have not yet been vetted. So I don't understand what the holdup is. I'm not putting you on the spot. I'm not answering the questions that we have vacancies on our CEC.
Yes, and it's a problem because those would be 2 members who are likely to be sitting at the table in most
Correct.
meetings. And they're also usually people with a pretty good view of what's going on. So yes, I'll bring that
There's a
up.
message. I mean, I've reached
Yes.
out and I haven't gotten any response. I know Face has reached out as well. I thank you for trying. We haven't gotten any responses yet.
Interesting, yeah.
But I do know that District 26 has their 2 appointees. In fact, their president is one of the appointees.
Oh, I know they've seen those the people apart too. Okay, so I'll definitely take that
I
back.
appreciate that.
Sure, my pleasure.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Mark?
Yes,
Mr. Altman?
if anyone has any
He's always
questions or
willing to
need
help.
advice, I'm happy to lend that I've done that for him.
We always appreciate your being involved and your coming back to the district. And thank you for being here.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, thank you. Next we have,
No, it's okay, thank you so much. Okay.
you don't want to make any comments?
No, sir.
Okay,
I'm
thank
fine.
you
Thank
for
you so
joining
much.
us. No problem.
Thank you, sir. Okay, good.
Yes, your turn.
Thank you everyone for considering the resolution that Mr. Chow.
Can you come a little closer because we have a camera there, so I'm sorry. Thank you. For those who don't know.
Okay, I just want to say thank you for everyone to for addressing the resolution that Mr. Chow brought up. Just want to address a couple of the issues that some of the members talked about, Anne Marie and I think Michelle. So, yes, prejudice against any ethnic group, any subgroup is wrong. I mean, no one group should be subjected to that. Now, the reason why this particular resolution should be specific is, as the superintendent mentioned, 50% of the demographics in District 25 is Asian, right? And all of these parents are demanding some kind of action, right? So that, and they reached out to Mr. Chow and several of the parents all over the city. And another reason why this has to be specific is because the solution is based on the demographics, right? And it's based on Senator John Liu's education bill to change the curriculum. And why is that necessary is because the Asian group throughout history, American history, has been viewed as perpetual foreigners, right? You walk on the street and people say to you, go back to China, even though you're a citizen, you're born here. But Black, Jewish, any other subgroup, you walk on the street and no one will say, go back to Africa, go back to Israel, go back to whatever. Just by looking at Asian faces, you're told, or you're thought that you are a foreigner, get out of here. So that's why this resolution has to be very specific, and the way that it's specific is to change the curriculum to make other children understand that Asians are also Americans. We don't come from another country. We've been here for many, many years, decades, over 100 years. So we need to get this curriculum that the Department of Education is going to revise over the next year to include the Asian American experience, and to demonstrate that Asians have been involved in civil rights throughout American history. So we have to get that narrative in there in order to change these views that people don't know about. So I just want to make that point. But we can definitely address all the other issues, right? Any other subgroups, any other minorities, demographics, they all should be addressed. But this one specific resolution should be targeted toward the Asian community. Thank you.
Thank you. once again, I have not seen the resolution, so I think if we have it in paper and writing before us, and we have the opportunity to read it, unfortunately, I didn't even get it. Sorry, I don't call you sent it to me,
I
but
just did it.
yeah. I think we should maybe table it to the next meeting, and absolutely, we can talk about it next meeting. There's no point in voting on it right now because we don't have it. Are there any other public comments in the chat? Okay, so our next meeting, our next calendar meeting is scheduled for September 14th. We were planning on venuing it in one of our schools. I think Carly reached out to 2 schools, but we're still waiting for responses, right? We don't have.
No, we haven't responded to.
What schools did you reach out to?
32 and 107.
PS 32
And
and PS 107. Do you know Danielle if you have?
I'll reach out to them.
So we have to give the notice for the meeting in advance. So between now and then, Carly will advise us as a council and the public.
Yeah,
Where else in
32, I'm not gonna recommend because they're starting construction.
Okay.
So 107, I'll reach out to Lori tomorrow.
Or PS 20, I was just thinking like this kind of like in the middle and has parking.
Yeah, 107 is good. Yeah.
So does everyone know where PS 107 is? PS 107 is on 45th, is it 45th Avenue or 45th Avenue and what street? It's
167.
167, so it's accessible, thank you.
167 or 240.
It's in Flushing, it's accessible to parking. I believe their auditorium is on the 2nd floor, is it?
Yes, yes.
And it's accessible to handicap, correct, as an elevator?
Yes, it's an elevator.
Yes.
So I think it could be a good venue. So let's just make sure that the principal is okay,
Call it tomorrow.
and then we will advise the public as to where our September CEC meeting will be, but it is definitely on September 14th. I look forward to seeing the public and our members there, and this way the reason why we're moving the meetings to the school is because we can accommodate more public people, right? Because right now we have attendance, you have to sign up to attend our meetings, and the schools can host more members of the public. So watch out for that, and I'm going to adjourn the calendar meeting, take a 3-minute break, and then we'll start our business meeting, okay? Thank you, meeting adjourned. So we're going to start the business meeting, and we have to start through the roll call, right? You have the roll call, Carly?
Yeah.
The business meeting, yeah.
I took some stuff, I was looking at some green by accident. Alright. Just give me 1 second, Joe. Sorry.
Take care.
Alright, ready? Joseph Di Benedetto.
Present.
Joseph Chow. Chow or Chow? I'm sorry.
Ciao.
Chow. Joseph Chow. Anne Marie Knable. Present. Sonia Lee. Present. Michelle Frederick. Present. Win Yu. Present. Rashmi Krishnan is absent. Leon M is absent. And Pamela Altamirino is absent. And Anne Marie Knable.
I'm here again.
I'm sorry, I closed.
Still here.
Sorry. Got it.
Okay, so we have a quorum present.
Yes.
Question, I'm not, and something that we need to talk about, like, so we have excused absences and unexcused absences. So I don't know which absence was excused, unexcused. Like, I was not advised that Rashmi was not coming. So were you advised? Is that an excused
It's
absence?
an email, but I haven't.
When did she send the email? Because I shut down my emails at 4:45. I didn't receive anything.
It was not 6 hours.
It wasn't 6 hours before, yeah. So I don't know, does that count as an excused absence? Or not? I don't, like, we've been really laid back in the past on that, but, you know, I
You
think,
can vote on it.
okay. So I think we really,
Send that 516.
yeah, I was already gone on my way here, so I didn't, you know, I thought she would be here. Not that I'm holding it against her, but I think we really need to be a little bit more strict on the attendance, because I think it's kind of disrespectful to those that are here, right? We make it our effort to come here. We arrange for childcare. we change our work schedules to be here, and, you know, some people don't want to be here, but if it's a valid, excusable, you know, reason, it's one thing, but if there's no excuse and it just goes like nothing happened, I think we're not going to accomplish much when we don't have many people showing up, right? So is everyone in agreement, or we should maybe vote on whether or not an absence is excusable or not? Can we take a vote on whether we will try to word it properly, we will take note of an absence being excusable or not excusable?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So it was the 6-hour notification.
So the 6-hour notification, my reading on it was Carly has to be notified, or I have to be notified. Usually when Carly is notified that someone's not showing up, Carly gives me a call and says, look, I know that, like Carly told me Pamela, she reached out to her, but Pamela's not responding. So I'm like, okay, so I guess it's going to be an absence, but, or she never confirmed that she was coming. I didn't know about Rashmi not
Okay,
showing
so we're
up.
assuming it was in the 6, I just want to make sure I understand the 6-hour thing, so forgive me for, because we never had this instance before. So within the 6 hours, we would expect that it's an emergency situation, car broke down, can't get a babysitter, can't get a.
Those are excusable absences, right?
But something,
I don't know what was the
I don't
reason
know.
why she couldn't come? Is it excusable absence? I don't know.
She's concerned about her safety.
Yeah, because of the Delta variant.
Okay,
so that excuse would have had 6 hours prior yesterday, the day before, so for me, that should have been
yeah, I mean,
sooner than 2 hours before the meeting starts.
So just to get, Joe, you need to vote on each individual.
okay,
Because Kelly's notes have to reflect like that person.
okay. So we have 3 members that are not here today. We had 2 members that were not here at our first meeting. So why don't we go back to the 3 members, what were the 3 members? The first 2 that were not here last month. Why don't we
Pamela
start
and
there?
Bion.
So Pamela and Bien, correct? Bien. So let's talk about Pamela. So I have not met Pamela virtually. I have not spoken. I don't know who she is. I've never been contacted by Pamela. I was not made aware of why she was not showing up. I don't think she even called Carly to explain why she didn't show up. Carly reached out to her a few times, and I think what was her response to you?
She told me she was coming to the last meeting.
She told us she was coming and she never showed up. So why don't we vote on July and whether Pamela's meeting was an excused absence, correct? Okay. Why don't you go through?
So roll call.
Yeah. Go ahead, take your time. I'm glad you like
Well, we've been doing this for many years now. Joseph Di Benedetto,
I'd say it's not an excused absence.
Joseph Chow,
Not excused.
Wayne Neal,
Not excused.
Michelle Frederick,
Not excused.
Andrew Knievel,
Not excused. Not excused.
So it's decided that Pamela's July absence is unexcusable. Let's go to Mr. B. Right, Im. So I know Mr. Im had reached out to me as president, or not, I don't even know if I was president back then, but he had reached out, I guess, to all of us that he wasn't going to be present.
At any meeting?
Well, he wasn't going to be present at the July meeting, my understanding is, because he was out of town, right? He was working or something. So,
but then it was switched to because of COVID.
Right.
and then he said he wasn't going to come in because he didn't believe in coming in because of COVID. He wanted to move for remote instruction. So that's the question. Is that an excusable absence? I don't see that as written as an excusable absence, but we're in new uncharted territory here, right? We're during COVID. Do we feel that someone's fear of COVID, if it's not medically necessary, in other words, if the person is or not vaccinated, refuses to come with a mask, or maybe cannot come because they have some type of medical condition where they cannot be vaccinated or it's not safe, what do you guys think? I mean, I'm assuming that we can decide as a council if that's excusable because there's no guidelines under the state law, correct?
When the term began in July, FACE was encouraging councils to be very lenient for people who were concerned about COVID. It is still something that's not in state law, so it's something you can vote on.
Okay.
Still your decision.
So before we discuss Mr. Im's absence, we should vote on, I believe we should vote on whether or not a fear of COVID contamination, I don't know how to word it. Exposure is an excusable absence, correct?
But his other excuse was he was out of town. Is that an excusable absence, being out of town?
That under our bylaws, that does fall under excusable absence. You're allowed 3 absences, but they
You're
can't
allowed
be
3
consecutive.
excusable
Excusable,
right.
yeah.
I think it's also because in the beginning it was supposed to be remote, but it was changed to in person at the last
Got
week.
Okay, so these are 2 different things. Why don't we just first decide if we as a council want to make the COVID factor an excusable absence, correct? And then we'll talk about Mr. M. Okay? So why don't you go through the roll call?
Joseph Di Benedetto
Without medical necessity, I'd say no.
and Joseph Chow.
I did all what he said.
Michelle Frederick.
Samuel,
And Minu.
I agree, without a real medical reason, it's unexcusable.
And Marie Knievel.
It's not excusable.
And Sunil.
Same with
See what
just the in theory.
So, we have to deal with it, right?
To carry out if you're that afraid of COVID, you're not going to be able to carry out the duties of a member. So then you should really, in fairness to the council, remove yourself.
Yes.
Correct. So it's kind of unanimous that we feel that unless you have a medical reason documented, that you cannot attend, that's not an excusable absence. Correct? Good. Okay. Now, let's go to Mr. Im. So Mr. Im, and I hope I'm pronouncing his last name properly. Is it Im? 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 Okay. So Mr. Im, it seems that he was absent in July because of work factors and he wasn't aware. So it looks like that may be an excusable absence. If you want, we can take a vote on that.
Okay. Joseph Di Benedetto.
Excusable.
And Joseph Chow.
It's not
Okay, excusable.
Okay. Minu.
Excusable.
Michelle Frederick.
excusable.
And Marie Knievel.
Giving the benefit of the doubt, but that's July. Excusable.
And Sunil.
Excusable.
So Mr. Im's absence in July was excusable. So it's
July, right?
July, correct. Now we go to August, this meeting, and we deal with Pamela again. And let's vote on whether her absence is excusable.
Joseph Di Benedetto.
Inexcusable.
And Joseph Chow.
Inexcusable.
And Marie Knievel.
Excusable.
Someone Lee. Minu. And Michelle Frederick.
Inexcusable.
So it's unanimous that Pamela's August meeting is absence is inexcusable. Mr. In, did Mr. In contact you regarding his inability to be here today? Is it because of work? I don't know. Is it?
I don't know how to describe those
I'm
emails.
assuming
He
he's still.
responded to, Rashmi's,
What did it say? I haven't read
well,
it.
Rashmi said the same thing of, this is long.
Okay.
It's basically in a nutshell saying that, children will say in a closed space, closed environment, and he kind of just said the same thing she said.
Do we know if he's out of town? Do we know if he's out of town? Okay, so he's contacted FACE and told them that he is for business purposes out of town, or no?
Yeah, it seems as I guess.
It's,
Yeah.
but I have a point, I'm a little confused because I understand he's out of town, right? But looking at
what he's saying and emailing, it doesn't seem like even
That's
if he
not the
comes
reason.
back in town, he's still not gonna be here.
Got it.
So, is it fair that he uses his out of town, unexcusable, whatever,
Mhm.
to not be here, and then when it comes to him coming back into town, he's still not gonna be here?
Got
Because his reasoning is basically that he doesn't wanna come in person.
So he's allowed, I think, under the bylaws, 3 excusable absences. So if he doesn't show up in September, he's used his 3 absences. So by October, if he doesn't show up, he's out, or we have to vote him out, correct? Because he's used his 3 excusables, correct?
Yeah, Carly will send a warning letter to members who have missed meetings.
Okay,
And given the unprecedented times that we are in, I will be speaking with Jesse about, like, are we under any scrutiny? Like, can we vacate these seats? Like, is it within your power? And I think it is within your power to vacate the seat, but before you vote on that, I would verify that for you.
okay. So be it Mr. M or Pamela, they're in the same position.
Yeah.
Pamela's got 3 unexcused absences.
3 excusable absences, or,
He could show up in October and have no penalty. His absences were excusable if we vote that. And he can come to the October meeting and start like going to all the meetings and not be removed, right? But Pamela's meetings were not excusable, so she already, if she's got the 3rd one, we can actually vote, correct? We can actually vote in September to remove her.
so he's contacting, I'm so sorry.
Can they get 3 excused and 3 unexcused for a total of 6 missed meetings before they can vote?
That's what I'm.
No.
So
which
it doesn't matter.
one?
They might bring in-
So I think it's kind of the same, but I think,
Like, do they have like an unlimited excusable, because like,
No.
if he's on out of town, bro.
so I don't
That
think,
count?
I'm gonna have to get clarification on that, but we cannot vote Mr. M out if he comes on the 4th meeting, because he's got 3 excused absences. And we can vote,
So can I read it to you?
yep,
Okay. Members who within their term of office refuse or neglect to attend 3 regularly scheduled monthly meetings of the CCSE meetings, of which they were properly notified without rendering a written valid excuse shall be deemed to have vacated their office. So that's
deemed,
DOE.
correct.
3 consecutive, you said?
Yeah. 3 consecutive.
So that would be excused or
Whether
Each
they're
absence
excusable
and
or
any
not.
written excuse provided shall be included in the official minutes of that meeting. So you have death of a relative, attendance of a relative's funeral, serious illness or injury of a family member, mandatory court attendance, including jury duty and military duty, job-related conflict, which makes absence from the CEC meetings unavoidable, and any other reason that the CEC deems appropriate.
So why are we making a big deal about this? This is why. Because if one of us, for whatever reason, not be able to come to the next meeting, we cannot conduct any business. We have no quorum. So it's not fair or appropriate for us, because now we're, what if something happens to one of us? Then we're not going to conduct it.
So, I'm sorry, so if he's excused for July, and then he's saying not excused today, and then excused
You have to
for
vote on that.
I mean, I'm just gonna get a hypothetical situation. If he's not excused for July, excused for August, excused for September, that's 3 missed meetings.
In a row.
In a row, 2 excused, 1 not, that counts as now we can vote him off?
Consecutive.
That's what
It's
he said.
consecutive, yes.
So that's 3 consecutive.
Whether it's excusable.
Whether
It
it's
doesn't say whether
excused
it's
or
excused or
not.
not.
That's
It's
just what it's
just
yeah, because I'm just thinking.
And what about the reason? So, are we allowed to, like, say we tell Juliana, we're out of town, but we're emailing each other, saying something totally different?
Well, I see what you're saying, because he's out of town, but he's telling her I'm not coming anyway because of the.
Correct, so I'm confused as to what the
Got it.
reason is.
We're just nice. We're just nice.
Which-
We're just nice.
Technically, they're supposed to report to Carly and give the reason why they're not attending. a death in the family, work-related an illness or something, because things happen, right? So it's not, I'm not, but I think these members are purposely not showing up, which is only gonna block us.
And I think that wording also, 3 in a row, so if he comes September, and then he goes back out of town till the end of the year, then we'll reset the clock on the 3 meetings.
So, I mean.
So that wording's gotta be.
I don't think he has intentions to come, but it's just, I just don't understand who do you tell, or who do you call when you are going to be absent?
So you should,
which
Why
one?
don't you tell me? Tell me.
Okay.
So God forbid your child, somebody gets sick and you can't show up the last minute, they're calling no, it's not a big, it's not, like, so like in Rushmi's case. So Rushmi's saying she doesn't want to be here for a reason that we just voted is not excusable. There's no excuse. If my son, which I don't have a son, is sick and I can't come at the last minute, then that's an excusable. God forbid I'm on my way here, something happens, I leave, and that's excusable. It's not, that's a valid ground for not being here, right? So that's the point I wanted to make. And again, I don't know, my goal, and I know what Julianne is saying, but my goal is that we have to conduct business. So if, whatever FACE tells us or not, we're not able to conduct business, that's affecting all of us. So I think we have a right to make decisions on that, with regard to that, right? Okay? So now we'll go back to Mr. In, right? We didn't vote on Mr. In. We voted on Pamela, she's got 2 unexcused absences. Mr. In, okay? 1 excused, and now, is his absence excused this evening? Yeah?
Okay, sorry.
It's okay.
Joseph Di Benedetto,
Not excused.
Joseph Chow,
Not excused.
Anne-Marie Knievel, Sonia Lee, Wayne Yu, and Michelle Frederick.
Not excused.
Okay, so that's, you'll make note of that because you're going to have to notify them that it's an unexcused absence. Now we'll talk about Rushmi, okay? So Rushmi's not here tonight. Rushmi apparently sent an email at 5:15, 5:10. I didn't get it. I don't, Carly, did you get it? I didn't think again. I came here, I didn't look at my emails when I check out. And the reasoning that you're telling me is she refuses to come because she's fearful of COVID, which is a reason that we just voted is not a valid excuse, right? So let's go through the vote.
Unless she had a medical condition.
Correct. Well, we don't know. Correct. So,
Right, but then let's say she went.
if she comes back and says she's got a medical condition that she cannot be vaccinated, or she cannot be, or she's vaccinated and cannot be here.
Tested positive.
Correct. That's, so,
I'm in disagreement with that, because medical condition, I have a medical condition, and I'm not vaccinated because of my medical condition, so my treatment is done. I'm here. And I would have notified you earlier than an hour before the meeting starts. So I'm not sure that medical reasoning has to really be, I tested positive, I broke my leg. It really has to be the kids. Yeah, we don't want
it didn't seem from what was shown, but, I didn't read the email, but what she's saying, it doesn't seem like she has a medical.
Right, so that's
She didn't say anything.
right. It's just, not being comfortable with COVID really is not a reason to not be here.
Okay, so go ahead.
Quick question, so for the meeting day, if I develop fever, like similar to COVID symptoms, because I was sick, I was able to get tested, but next day I got this, I got positive, will that be excused?
Of course, okay, we're not well. We take a health meeting downstairs, yeah.
Right. So let's go through the vote on Rushmi, and then I understand what you're saying, but let's see how the vote comes out, and then we'll deal with it.
Joseph Di Benedetto,
Inexcusable.
Joseph Chow,
Inexcusable, I guess.
Anne-Marie Knievel,
Inexcusable.
Sonia Lee,
Inexcusable.
Wayne Yu,
Not excusable.
Michelle Frederick.
No.
Okay, so it's unanimous that Rushmi's absence is inexcusable. All right, so we have to just now keep a record of this. I hate to do that, but again, it's for us to conduct business. Otherwise, we show up at all these meetings. God forbid one of us doesn't show up, we don't accomplish anything for the month. So thank you for voting that. And Carly, you'll send out the notices, or I guess we need to notify these members that whether they're excused or not, or their absence. Okay. All right. So that's done regarding absences. we talked about the liaisons with the schools. Does anybody want more instruction on that? Should we, what time is it? It's 9 o'clock, so I think we can table that till next month because we have the other members that hopefully will be here. So we'll talk about the school visits next month. What else do we have on the agenda here?
During the meeting.
Am I missing something, Colin? Oh, we didn't approve the minutes?
Not the business.
We
I
did.
thought we did, yes.
We did?
Yes.
Yes.
No, we were waiting for her.
No, we did, but I
Oh,
thought it was
that's-
the annual and the calendar.
Got it, so let's-
The business part.
I'll take a motion to approve the business minutes.
I second.
Okay, so that's done. Let's look at one thing quickly. Am I missing something we need to discuss?
Committees.
Do we want to do committees, right? So I know Mr. Chow has this, this resolution, and I know that you have also a discussion on a possible committee on diversity.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and we also have to discuss, our bylaws provide that we have to have a special needs meeting, calendar meeting before November, correct? So we need to focus on whether we're gonna have that special needs meeting in September or October.
Juliana, do you think we can get somebody centrally because we're in transition at the borough?
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Do you know Jose Rio Luis?
no.
Okay. I'll ask him.
Do you have any input on that, Emery, like, as sitting on the special needs subcommittee? Okay. Are you?
I think and correct me if I'm wrong, Emery, the topic is really about information for parents of our referrals and interventions.
Right,
Yeah, like how to, what RTI is and MTSS, as well as the referral process for parents.
And also gifted and talented.
right, we wanted to include that this
is
year.
included.
It's all additional needs, not just special needs, is the IEP students.
It's special needs, not just not IEPs, it's
Right.
also.
We're all in one meeting.
Yeah, because some of the council members last time wanted, we were looking at, we thought that we were looking at special needs as too narrow. So they were looking at it more as additional needs, so if the talent students have an additional need, just like a special need. So we said, okay, we'll combine it.
We characterize that.
You want
So-
gifted and talented?
So maybe.
Isn't that what the resolution stated?
Yes.
I could do the gifted and talented.
Just to
It's a yellow, right?
Right.
Yellow.
And the
Okay. So are the council members okay with having this meeting do you want to do it in October? What's on the agenda for September?
That's what you
Welcome
guys
back to school, school openings,
The school visits, what you
school
said.
visits. Does anyone have opposition? Would you prefer to have this special, we'll put your resolution on?
Oh,
for
C40,
September?
is that in September?
I haven't gotten any C4E information yet.
Does anyone have
Okay, I'm just
opposition
going
to
off of what
doing
this
that
said.
in October? So there's time to prepare it? Raise your hands if we're.
If I can get one of the three to come in September, is that okay? I could do the multilingual learner piece maybe September, and then Dr. Daytona and I are going to do a presentation on the rollout of district goals and the direction that we're going. That's okay.
Okay,
For
so then
September?
you'll let Carly know, and then we'll put it on the agenda if that's possible.
Yeah, so I'll try to get multilingual learners, because you know what, we have a lot of new families coming, they have to do
It might be important to do it in September.
there's testing they have to go through and as new admits into the
So that would be
CP,
for
so yeah, yeah.
So you think you can get-
Dr. Mike?
And then Dr. Mike and I are going to do district-wide goals and the alignment to the chancellor priorities.
Juliana, do you think the IEP section we can do in October?
That's fine. You just tell me.
Are you okay with it, guys? Are you good? So on September's agenda, we're gonna do what we just spoke about. We're gonna discuss the resolution, right? Because we have to present it, right?
Juliana, will you speak to, we'll talk offline about gifted and talented. They might want somebody from Central. Right? We'll talk to you and I.
Does anybody want to take part in a subcommittee right now? To discuss your resolution and to discuss your possible
Well, it kind
concern?
of goes along with the resolution, so I think that could be the same committee.
Does anybody?
Diversity committee, we want to hear the resolution.
Yeah, diversity and inclusion.
In the diversity.
I like that name, Diversity and Inclusion Committee?
Yeah.
Is that what you said? I like that.
Does anybody want to sign up, Mr. Chow, you okay with it?
And Emily, Joe.
Subcommittee.
So,
Subcommittee of the committee.
I think, so the way the subcommittees work, you don't have to meet in a public meeting, right?
No, you do.
Yeah, we can meet before our September meeting if you want to discuss this resolution. But Carly has to notice the public, and then we have to invite the public, but we can talk about hashing, the issues, and then you can bring a resolution to the, is that okay?
What day were you looking to do it?
So,
September 14th.
so since you,
You don't want to meet before?
so do we want to elect a chair to that subcommittee, correct? Right? Does anybody want to run as the chairperson of that subcommittee?
Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Chow will chair that subcommittee. So Mr. Chow, you need to, communicate with us, with Carly if you don't have our emails, about when you want to meet before September 14th. Because we want to report.
I'm gonna meet here, or can we meet?
No, we do virtual?
No,
No.
Can we meet before our regular
it
meeting?
has to be
Yes.
we're back in person, right? It has to be here.
We can meet before the council.
schedule anyway.
We can meet anytime, as long as we put the notice requirement, was it 3 business days?
72 hours, yeah.
72 hours before.
6 o'clock is for.
I'll give them a short play, you're chairing it.
Oh, okay. How about 6 o'clock on the?
Because our meeting starts at 6:30, so we could meet.
Oh, you
at
mean,
6.
you want to meet before the same day, you don't want to meet beforehand?
Yeah.
I mean, it's up to you.
I think it's gonna be too short of a time, honestly, knowing how
Okay,
things
so-
have gone.
You'll
It's gonna be
come
long.
by.
Yeah.
I can come anytime. I just have to make sure my.
I'll bring pizza, whatever day you choose.
I don't know your schedule.
I'll email you. I'll email you.
If you just pick a day out,
So-
no way to get over.
Whoever wants to suggest the date, what I would suggest is let Carly know. Carly will circulate it, and then we'll make it happen. So,
I want to email you, ask you what a good time is for you on date.
and then, right, and if somebody in the subcommittee can't make it, it's okay. This way, you meet beforehand, we meet beforehand, so when we come to our next meeting, we have a little bit more information. And we'll have the resolution, or whatever you want, or not, whatever you want to discuss. It's a good thing, good starting point.
Thank you.
All right, so you know who's on the subcommittee, all of us. And, is there anything else we need to discuss business-wise?
That gavel comes down.
And the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.